Hello, everyone, and welcome to the High Noon Hot Seat brought to you by High Noon Podcast. We're not even sure if we're going to use that as the intro or not, but let's get right to it. We are so fortunate to have one of, if not the greatest Doomfist player in the world on the show, Mr. Leaf from Gamers Origins. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We are very excited to talk to you today. So
You got me started off a little upset already, though, Blevins. I got to say, what was with hedging your bets here? This is clearly the best Doomfist player in the game right now, hands down, no questions asked.
Well-respected member of the Overwatch media community, I must not show favoritism. Okay, no, absolutely the best. No,
None of those things are true. Yeah, 100% the best player in the world.
I'll edit it in post. We'll make you the best in post production. Don't worry. But enough about me blundering it. Again, really thankful and happy to have you on the show. Let's just jump right into it. We always like to start off with a little bit about you. So tell us a little bit about what's your gaming origin story, not to be confused with the Gamers Origin. How did you start getting into gaming and esports?
The first game I started playing was League of Legends back then. So it was a very popular French shootcaster in our gaming. I don't know if it's very known in Europe, or even in America. I don't think you ever heard about it, but it's very popular in France. It's very a big TV and big web TV where you can watch every sport game. They started shotcasting League of Legends, and it's when I started watching tournaments of player the best European teams, and the kid dream of going pro began. But I was maybe 12 or something, and everyone had so much experience on League of Legends. I just thought it's not my game, it's not for me. And then Shootmania came out. I was really hooked on the simplistic gameplay of a basic FPS. But I rapidly realized that on a new game, even if it's new, everyone has the same experience, but there was people like Wins, AKM, Strength with 10 years of experience on FPS, and they were just raping everyone. And I understood that you can't just wait for an opportunity to begin work to become a pro. You need to work, and then you will have an opportunity to really shine. And I started working a lot to get better on Shootmania, but I didn't really get good at it. I played for 4 years. I was just bad, and the game died when I started getting decent. But it really got me a big love of the competitive aspect in games, and I get in Overwatch with this big will of getting into the competitive scene.
Nice. So you just kind of went from League of Legends to some other FPS games. Didn't really like it that much, and then went right into Overwatch, which is pretty awesome. And I like how you said, you want to wait for a new game, but then you realize that when you see the AKMs and the Tivix of the world, it's like, wait, they started at the same time I did. Why are they so good already?
Yeah.
So we'll move right along, but we talked about this a little bit in the Discord beforehand, but do you want to give us any insight as to where the name Leaf comes from, or is that going to remain shrouded in mystery?
I'm going to talk about it, but it's really a very stupid story, to be honest. The first username I used on online games was Leaf, but written in L-I-E-F. It came from a series of book named Delta Quest, and Leaf was just the main character, so just copy his name. And when I started communicating with European people, I was 14 years old. People started to call me Leaf, written like a leaf. At this time, I didn't know what it meant, so I knew what the word cliff meant. I was like, oh yeah, that's something cool. So leaf will probably mean something cool. I'm gonna take it and see. and now I'm stuck with it. So
that's awesome. That's a really interesting story because it's something that, especially like I would take for granted completely. It's like, oh, you picked Leaf because you like autumn or something, or fall. It's like, nope, just a complete coincidence.
yeah.
That's pretty awesome. But we'll move right along into talking a little bit more about Gamers Origins.
Yeah, so Leaf, you guys came out, you're a team that's been around for a little while. We've heard your names on the outskirts of the tournaments, in the top level tournament scene for a while. You guys obviously had a really strong showing in season 0 of Contenders, which brought you up onto the qualifiers list. Can you tell us, though, a little bit about how long has this roster been together? How did you guys originally meet and decide to form into a competitive team?
Okay. But when the game came out, like after the closed beta, there was a popular French team who won a lot of tournaments. They got signed by Gamers Origin, which was pretty big at this time because in France you got Melty with like Nico, and I don't know who was the other player, but like a lot of big names. And you got a second big team, which was Gamers Origin. The roster was completely different from what it was now. I believe it was Jenkins, Whitefire, Azurac, Silo, Narwhal, and Strengths. And after a tournament, they decided to kick Strengths. And they began some tryouts in France. And just because of my ranked, I was in the pool of tryouts with like very big French player like Ardest, which is now my teammate, or even player like Veteran Junior, who plays for Wizard Esport Club now. And I kind of got signed out of nowhere just because they believed in me. And like it was really 1 year before, and for 1 year I played for Gamers Origin. It was a very long journey from a very, very bad team. We got a lot of changes with a lot of players who come in, like Colsty, and now we have a very, very different roster with probably the best French player outside of Rogue. I think like that's the best team we can put out in France with the talent we have. So that's where it all came in.
All right. Well, yeah, it definitely gives me hope being on a terrible team currently that, maybe not to bash my new team if you guys are listening, which I don't think they do, so I should be okay.
Yeah,
you guys
but
are fine.
you've also got
I'm just constantly self-deprecating.
Fantastic player too. No.
Well, then I'm out on 2 fronts then. But
anyways, you're quite a good Zen. But credit where credit is due.
We're talking to Leaf. It's not worth mentioning.
That's true.
Speaking of Leaf, we forgot you were here for a second. Sorry about that. But what changed for you guys as a team going into this season of Contenders? Because I'm not going to lie to you, I was vocal about about not liking some of the lower end teams in the tournament, and just about every team that I didn't think had much of a chance, it really, really surprised. So
like
what changed? What change happened for you guys going into this season of Contenders, and what allowed you guys to improve so rapidly between the 2 seasons?
Well, everyone think we were a very bad team, and we didn't deserve to be there. And the roster in season 0 was completely different. I wasn't in there, Ardest wasn't, and people wasn't too, I think. Yeah, he wasn't. So there was 3 different players that got swapped for 3 better players, I think, overall. So we were better. And with much more experienced player, like people with way more experience than Nanoki. I am more experienced than Dixidix was. And coming into the new Contender season with new player where everyone has experience on competitive Overwatch. Everyone has the time to focus on themselves and not on to watch everyone's gameplay. You don't have to watch your tank gameplay because it's not experienced. You can just focus on your gameplay, try to be the best you can. And we came with this roster 1 week before the start of Contenders. And we were we knew we won't be winning games with a dive composition because Ben Best is not that strong on Winston. Ardest was really bad on Tracer at this time. I was really bad on Genji at this time because I just started playing him again. So we started like fuck the meta basically and just we will try something else. We will try to play around the strengths, and that's where Doomfist and Macri came in, and we started working around this composition, even if it's like maybe not the best thing, but for us it works. And we kind of agree to like give confidence, like trust yourself, trust your teammates, even if they play something different, just go on with it, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, well, no one expects us to win anyway.
Yeah, that's a really great point, and honestly, that's something that anytime I've ever been on a team that's talked to a coach, that's the one piece of advice that no matter who you talk to always comes up. It's, know what the meta is and study the meta, but don't commit to it if it doesn't make sense for you. Like, you have to be willing to have your own identity and play what works best for your group of 6. So I think it's definitely kind of the prime example, really, in competitive Overwatch right now of that working at the highest level, because a lot of teams really they seem to fear innovation. So it's really great to see a team like Gamers Origin step out, be so attracted to a new hero. We've talked a lot in the past about, like, don't live in the past. When there's a patch out, people should be using the PTR and studying and getting better at these heroes there. And it sounds like that's exactly what you did.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams really don't have confidence in like change, and that's why Dive is so strong right now, because when you can play Dive very good, even if maybe it's not the strongest composition you can play, people are so used to it that they don't want to try something new, just like Ninja in Pyjamas did in the past with the 3 tanks composition. People they don't want to waste time on something, and I think like maybe they're right. Maybe you can waste time, and maybe we're doing some composition that will never work, and you will just be very bad for a very long time. But maybe you just are smart. Maybe you can think of something that can work, and everyone will have to adapt to it. That's what happens, because when we play our contenders game, we doesn't adapt that much to our opponent. It's them; they have to adapt to our playstyle, and it makes time for us to play and be better. Well, they have to waste time into adapting themselves to us.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've even talked about that type of strategy on the show before. But let's move on. Speaking of what people have had to adapt to you specifically for, let's just talk about what we've wanted to ask you about this whole time. That being Doomfist. How did you go about learning the new hero so quickly? Because you came out pretty much out of the gun and just really showed people what Doomfist could actually do. We were not, from our standpoint, not being in high-level scrims all the time, looking from the outside, we were a little unsure of the true maximum potential of Doomfist, and you've really been showing us that. So how did you go about learning him so quickly?
Well, when Doomfist came out, I wasn't playing for Gamers Origin at this time. I was playing for Miximix, a small French team. And when it came out, we had a discussion about what we want to play on the new patch. Doomfist came out, we were like, we want to play some tank composition, and it's Scan Doomfist. So we are like, who is gonna play Scan, who is gonna play Doomfist? And I'm terrible on Scan. So I was kind of stuck on the Doomfist role. I didn't want to play him that much at this point. I played him a lot on the PTR, and I wasn't enjoying at all the gameplay. But like, I was forced on it, so it's okay. Like, I took it like a professional, and I started working on it. It was disabled in Rocket, so just playing quick play, trying to having fun. And then I remember it was like pretty late in the night. I was playing on Anamura, just going back from spawn, and I punched on a walk, and it launched me in the air. And instantly, like, there was a light bulb on my head, and I understood that like there is something to work on Doomfist with the physics, because when he punch, he acts like a projectile. So maybe you can do something about it. And like, for the whole night I was on the custom games trying to do things with Doomfist. And in 1 week I probably spent like 20 hours just in custom games trying to like punch everything just to see how it reacts.
That's awesome.
I really get kind of crazy about it, but I really understood a lot about how Doomfist works and found a lot of movement depth in him. He use any of his capacity to either move or either damage someone. And a lot of Doomfist, I think, underestimate the capacity he has to move around the map very, very quickly. And his vertical mobility can be very high if you punch the right thing.
And we saw that in action this weekend on Numbani specifically, I believe. I watched you punch a bus, get up onto the high ground, and I rewound it. And I'm just like, wait a minute. He did that with... Okay. All right. There's stuff I don't know here. You know, it's... So those hours, you know, and this is something, too, we've talked about. I don't know, Blevins, you might remember. We had Phelan when he was here. He talked about how the first thing he was going to do when he got into Overwatch was he wanted to be a Roadhog main, and he was just talking about, like, well, I'm just going to go see what boxes I can jump to from other boxes for the first 17 hours that I have this game. Yeah. And it was kind of weird for us because we didn't come from that FPS background, you know, where there's not a lot of movement stuff like that. So it's great to see that, you know, those kinds of things. I think a lot of players are hesitant to spend a lot of time on them because it doesn't feel like it's something that's going to give you a lot of return, but clearly it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in other words, you can say that your strategy for learning Doomfist was just punch everything.
Everything. Just
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you mentioned you kind of it's kind of funny to think, since you're such a good Doomfist, that you were basically forced to play Doomfist against your will.
Yeah.
But you know, is your strategy, you know, moving forward when the next hero comes out, if it's a hero that fits your type of play style at all, is it the type of thing where you're going to put all that time in again to try to learn or break that new hero, or are you just going to kind of stick with what you know and go from there?
I really like playing new heroes. For example, about like Sombra, I didn't like at all the gameplay of Sombra, so wasn't for me. But Orisa was really fun, and I played there a lot, I think, but she's like really, really, really weak. But every new hero, I think I will play them. I think I'm a strange player with a strange playstyle. I'm very lucky Doomfist fit in my playstyle so well. So I really hope there will be another hero that I could fit in my playstyle. So maybe I will be less of a one trick.
Well, maybe if Hammond ever comes out and is anything like what Deathblow and I have predicted, maybe he'll be a good fit for you.
Are you rooting for Hammond or the Queen? Which do you want to be next?
I really don't follow the hype thing about you, so I don't even know who they are.
I don't blame you. I normally wouldn't either, but I have to for the show, so we'll give you a pass on that one. All right, well, moving on here. I'm curious, Leaf, what you think the first piece of advice, if somebody was picking up Doomfist today and they were trying to learn him, what would be the first piece of advice you would give them, or the first skill they have to master?
I think people overestimate combos. You don't have to combo that much about Doomfist. The thing that is the most important about him is like Overwatch is a lot about initiating first. Doomfist isn't about initiating first. It's about reacting to what enemy do and understand where you need to be and when. And what is really important is to understand that Doomfist either has low damage but high mobility, or low mobility or high damage. So you have to understand what you want to do in the next fight and position yourself in a way that you will be able to do it. Like if you want to one-shot a tank, you need to be around where he is, because if he's too far away, you need to go to him, and you will waste your abilities in moving. But if your wall is like, I want to dive the Zenyatta, then you just have to find the high ground on a clear path to him, so you can punch through everything, avoid like punching someone, just punch in the earth to move forward, and use like even just one ability can one-shot Zenyatta if you do it right. So you just have to position yourself in the way you want to play the next fight, and to understand what you will need to do in the next fight, because he can only do one thing in a fight. He has only 3 abilities. When you use them, it's over. So you can do one thing in 4 seconds. You need to understand what will be the most important thing you can do.
All right, great. Yeah, not really an answer I personally expected from the melee hero that the positioning would be so important, but obviously, to start the fights, it's a completely different ball game than just you have to be within melee range. But yeah, moving on here. Recently, and you played on it this weekend, so we all got to see it, and you guys still had success with it, and you still went to it. But how impactful was the hitbox change to Doomfist's abilities? How impactful was that to his overall power level?
I think in the way I used to play him before, it was very, very impactful. When they advertised Doomfist, they told us it was a counter to flankers, right? Like in the schematics, he kills Tracer, he kills Genji, he kills Winston. Super happy for a counter to dive. Sadly, it isn't really a counter to dives, even more with the patch, because the problem is that if you seismic slam on a Genji or even a Tracer, they can escape the combo before you kill them because they have mobility capacity. So you can only one-shot low mobility hero. That's okay, but you can still one-shot them with the punch. And you can still peel around your support with the punch, like a Road Dog with a hook. But the problem is that with the new hitbox, it's very hard to punch a Tracer. Even more where she's aware of where you are. And for Genji, he can just jump over your punch. And I feel really, really sad when the patch came out and I was trying to punch Genji and he was jumping over me again and again. So now I just I stopped using him as a kind of peeling heroes, and now Doomfist is like another diver in the dive meta.
Okay. So change the play style completely, but overall you still think he's very viable.
Yeah, as a diver, he's very strong.
Perfect. And do you agree with us when we say all these lofty things about you and call you the best Doomfist player in the world? And whether you do or don't, if you don't agree with us, who would you say is the best? And if you do agree with us, who's coming up on your, who's right on your heels? Who's close behind you?
It's very hard to compare myself to, for example, current players, because I really don't know, what is a bad current teams compared to a European team. It's really hard to tell because I never met. And like the last time European or current met, it was very far back. So it's really hard to know how strong they are. What you can see from watching the game is that in terms of mechanics, they are good. But are they really smart? Is their position okay? Because I think they're kind of one step ahead. Koreans are one step ahead of us, so it's hard to really tell who is the best. They are probably better than me, I think, overall. And for NA, I think I didn't watch a lot of NA games. But Effect is monster. I think he's 2 times better than me, to be honest. Maybe not in terms of mechanics, but he's very, very smart. He's very intelligent in how he play, and he's always has a good position on Doomfist. Even on every hero, this guy is very, very strong. So he's the one in NA, probably the best Doomfist in NA. And for you, I think there isn't many Doomfist. Genji and Doomfist are very alike, and in Europe, a lot of players like Genji a lot. So when Doomfist started coming, some of them tried Doomfist. In the first week of Contenders, a lot of teams were trying to play Doomfist against me. And to be honest, it worked pretty well. And I worked with my coach a lot on VODs and try to understand how this matchup works. How Doomfist versus Doomfist works, because Doomfist is a great counter to Doomfist himself, but you have to counter play him. And the thing is, in Doomfist versus Doomfist, there will be one of the Doomfist that will lose. If he loses, he's dead. It's not Tracer versus Tracer where you can peel for your support, where you can harass him. It's one lose and one win. So being the better Doomfist in a 1v1 means it will be will wreck the other team pretty easily. So I worked a lot on this matchup, and by week 3 or week 4, no one is playing Doomfist against us anymore. And I don't think it's because they're scared. I'm not telling I'm very better than them, but just they don't want to waste time and putting a lot of effort to master Doomfist, because it's not really worth it for a lot of players, really talented players like Tevik and Linkzer. They have so many heroes they can play at such a high level they don't need to play Doomfist. They don't need to add Doomfist to the hero pool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say we've seen a lot of teams, instead of being like, okay, well, we're gonna master this Doomfist versus Doomfist matchup, just be like, yeah, we're just gonna not go this way on the map anymore because we know there's gonna be a Doomfist on the other side of the door.
Yeah, they're adapting to it. You can easily play around it. Like Lucio is very important to counter Doomfist, and in first week, and even in season 2 first week, Lucio were like they didn't understood anything about how to counter Doomfist. And coming into Giganti, I was thinking because of Bigus like kind of underperformed in the first match. I was thinking I was gonna be having, oh, that's terrible phrase I'm going. I was having a good time against Giganti, I think, but then I started playing against Bigus and I see that he worked a lot on the matchup against Doomfist and it just like completely deleted me from the game. On King's Row I did nothing just because Bigus played Lucio in a way that deleted my playstyle. I can't play against him because he's very smarter than much Lucio.
All right. Well, shout outs to Big Oos, and a very political answer for you. We'll just tell everybody that he didn't change our mind. We still think you're the best Doomfist player in the world, and we're going to stick by that at least through the duration of Contenders. I'm willing to.
Yeah.
I'm willing to commit to sticking with that stance until I see somebody prove it otherwise.
For sure. And just a kind of a last wrap up question on Doomfist in a way. Are there any other heroes that you play at the same level that you play Doomfist at, or is it Doomfist is your bread and butter and you'd always pick him over everything else?
I used to be a Flex DPS. I was a Flex DPS for like 1 year, but I took a break from competitive Overwatch, and when I came back, I needed to step up my games on Doomfist because like I started streaming with Screamer's Origin and Misfit, everything were destroying us in scrims. So I started to step up a lot on Doomfist because it worked. So we abused the Doomfist, but then I quickly realized that I cannot hide behind my Doomfist, and my other hero are kind of weak right now. I used to be a decent Genji, but it was really never really natural to play him. It kind of feels strange playing like Genji. I'm like, that's not natural. If I stop playing him, I will just forget everything. But if I play Doomfist, it's my playstyle, it's my mindset. I'm just letting everything flows, and I can be creative. And when I'm going Genji, I need to hold myself back and force me to do things. So it was really hard. Even like on dive meta was really not fun for me. When I was used to play Genji, I was not having fun on this game. But I can play some other heroes like Pharah. I can play against her. I'm not really smart, but I can take 1v1 pretty good. I used to play a lot of Mei. I think I like the new Junkrat, but I didn't play him like before. So, but it's very fun right now. I'm still not very good at it, but I'm having fun with it at least, and I'm a big fan of Rodok. So maybe we'll see more of it. I don't know. It's not me. I don't choose it. So, but I really like to play him more.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen a little bit of the other ones, but I think they were talking this weekend about your just play time, and it was like 30 minutes on things that weren't Doomfist, and then just everything else was Doomfist. But I mean, we've seen a little bit of the other things. I think Pharah and Gardens for Oasis, we've seen you on a little bit, and there was some other spots. Definitely the Genji's come out some. So, great to see, and but. For my money, if I don't know who your shot caller is off the top of my head, but if they're listening, you just let them play Doomfist. It's what we want to see. It's what we want to see.
That is true. But let's move right along and talk a little bit about Contenders. This is what we've been talking about on the show for the last month or so. It's been the hottest tournament out there right now. At least in NA time zones, rip Apex being at like 3 o'clock in the morning our time. But I don't know if we have an exact date for the new patch, the Junkertown patch with supposedly the Diva and Mercy changes. But how do you expect those changes to affect the meta for the last couple weeks of Contenders?
Well, what I know is that it will be patched for playoff. So I think there is one last week of like the round robin match, and then there is a playoff with a new patch. I believe. I'm not sure about it, but I think it is like this. And it's really hard to tell what will the meta be, because D.Va was such an abundant hero in the dive meta. She was doing like dive has a lot of bad thing, but D.Va was there to protect everything. She was so important in dive, and now she's bad. I think I'm not too sure about it. I didn't play much PTR, but I think she's pretty bad. And Mercy looks pretty strong. Doomfist, I think Doomfist was buffed on PTR. The hitbox is now a bit better. So it's kind of hard to predict, but I think this patch will really change everything. And at the start of like Screaming Day, where the new patch will begin, everyone will play everything, and it will be a very fun time, because that's a kind of confidence boost, because you have strats you want to try, but people are like, nah, it's dive, we need to play dive. And when new patch comes, people like get this confidence boost to start to work on new strategy. And I think there will be some fun strategy, especially coming from big team that work a lot, like Misfit and Giganti, and having such hero like Tivik and Linkzer, who are like really flexible on many heroes. I think they will play different playstyle that they're doing right now.
Yeah, I would love to see some of those scrims. I hope maybe they can record them and just put them out after or something. But it'd just be great to see those wild west scrims where like, I can't even believe they tried this, and then it might not even ever make it to the tournament. But I want to see it being tried. It'd be so great to see those. But another thing that we've seen happening in contenders is what's called C9ing or Cloud9ing. I'm sure with that laugh, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But for anyone who doesn't know, it's basically when you need to be on the point as a team, and then you're just not, and you lose the map. We've seen this happen multiple times throughout the tournament across many teams, Gamers Origin included. What are your thoughts on that happening? Is it like a mindset thing where people just aren't thinking about being on the point, or is it just kind of a flaw in the game, or what?
It's hard to tell. I think it's different for every team, and we didn't talk a lot about what we do in overtime. Most of the time we just like let people on it, let our Lucio, like you're on the payload, you need to stay on it. And what happened during this night was he saw the teleporter beacon of Sombra, like he just think straight ahead, oh, I need to evade the EMP because I don't want to get EMP, I have ult. So he just get off the cart and like we just lost on it. But I think we can't really blame people for it, because you don't, like in overtime, you don't want to put Lucio on payload. It's stupid. At any time you can get one shot by literally anything and you can lose. So I think we should have maybe put a tank on it. And we should probably work on an overtime push.
Yeah, and your teammates are doing a good job of supplementing your feelings here in Twitch chat. Just kind of saying that you're focused on the game plan, and then everybody, I mean, you hear the EMP go off, and nobody's instantaneous reaction is, oh, well, I need to go stick my nose in the middle of this fight because I'm at full capacity right now. Like, everybody's reaction is to spread out, but at the same time, it does feel like you said, it should be pre-worked out, right? Where if we're in overtime, maybe the D.Va has to stand there because the D.Va's got 2 lives. So even if it's a Junkrat tire and they die instantly, you're still okay. And so it almost feels like just the competitive season, or the competitive scene is just so young to the point where all of those corner case strategies and things haven't been ironed out, and that, like you said, it's different for everybody, but for everybody it's something. And to my mind and to my eye, there's been no exceptions to the C9 problem. It's just everybody seems to be doing it right now. So thank you very much for the insight into why that happens.
Well,
looking forward.
One last thing I'll say on that is I know why my team never does it. It's because we're all in gold and no one's ever on the payload or the point. So
You guys don't play the payload.
We're the reverse C9. It's an amazing moment if someone's on the point.
Yeah, it takes a diva self-destruct to put you guys on the payload and out of your corners. But looking forward here, obviously, Leaf, everybody's mind and eye is on the Overwatch League as we get towards the end of this contender season. Everything's coming up very, very quickly, and I think it's about a month or maybe a little under a month. All the rosters will be locked up and everybody will be signed to their teams. So I'm curious what you think your role is on a potential Overwatch League spot. Is it even something you're thinking about, or is it just something you're going to roll with and adapt to when it happens? And, how do you see yourself, more as a full-time DPS player, or do you think you'll be used more as a specialist?
I really hope I could prove as a full-time DPS flex player. I will work for it, but I don't think I'm worth it as a flex DPS right now. I don't think I'm worth it as a Doomfist specialist. At least not on this patch. Like, Doomfist is not that strong, and it's not really worth it to pay a player just to play Doomfist. Not like Tracer, which you can pay a player just to play Doomfist. Tracer, I mean, because she's so strong. But what I think I can do is like playing as a sub, as flex DPS, but then I will really have to work on my flexibility. That's what I will do after. Like, if I do playoff, I will play my flexibility a lot for the contenders, and if I don't, well, I will work on it anyway, just for maybe a spot in Overwatch League always.
All right. Well, I definitely think, like you said, it's everything's so meta dependent, and with a hero like Doomfist being so new, it kind of makes it more volatile to maybe consider signing a specialist. But hopefully we do get to see the name Leaf up there in the lights someday on the OWL stage. I know I'm looking forward to it. Now, I'm sure it's something you've been thinking about, but do you have an ideal location for a potential Overwatch League team? And can you tell us maybe where that might be? Is it city based, or is it just country based, or where do you hope to play if you get a chance?
If I got a chance, I would really like to play in France probably, but even in Europe, I would like to stay in Europe as a city representation. But anyway, everyone will be playing in NA for the first season, so it doesn't really matter.
Correct.
Yeah, that is true. That's a big thing that as us being pie in the sky, like looking at the dream of it being like, well, I want to my dream city is here, and I want it to be owned by this one, and I want Pluppy on my team, and I want Hexagrams as my coach, and it's like, but really it's like every team is essentially the same for the first season, where they're all going to be in LA doing the same sort of thing. But for us, it's like we're very idealized to it. But
I'm trying to claim my city and my team as soon as it's announced.
Right, and we're about as far away from playing as human. Well, I am as far away from playing as humanly possible, and Death is a couple of steps further close than I am. But put the dream cap on. Is there a certain, like, in your ideal situation, your perfect scenario, you can choose everything. Where is the team located, and is there like a certain organization, whether it be an esports organization or just any sort of worldwide organization, that you'd want the ownership to be, just like pie in the sky dream team?
Well, if I had to choose, I don't really care about the city or even the org, to be honest, because I don't have much experience, so I can't really like compare them, but what really matters to me is like the coaching staff. Coaching staff will be, I think, one of the most important thing in Overwatch League, because you're making teams. Most of the team will be like not the same person. There will be pickups from every team, so you need to make them work together in a format where you play a lot and where everyone is the same house. So you need to have a good coach. You need to have a good coaching staff to work on it. And like it's very important. Look at us. We had a coach, and we started getting from maybe like a bad team of Zelo and like maybe fourth, but I mean maybe 8. But because we had a coach, it get really better. Like the coach get so much more. Maybe you are really good, but the coach doesn't bring just skill to your player. He brings everything, confidence, teamwork, everything. He just like find what you need. And maybe as gamers origin, we didn't lack skills, but we like trust in our teammates. We were just like a pickup of six guys playing together in a ranked mode games. And he came and we said like stop doing stupid things. Just start working as a team. Start trusting ourselves, and just like accept that everything will not be okay. Everyone will make mistakes, and just go along with it and try to have fun. That was really matter to us. Is he understood that what made us bad is that when we're doing bad, we're just like, not really happy about what we did. We're just like tilting and having bad mindset. But he just came and he said like, we don't care, it's a game. The first thing you should be aiming for is having fun. So it's really strange to tell that, but we were working streams to having fun first and then being good after. And just because he did that, we get a lot better, and we were having fun a lot. So we worked better, we worked more, and just because of that, I think coaching staff is very, very important.
That's a really interesting perspective. I think it might have been either Cool Matt or maybe it might have been Jake talked about that a little bit, where like they changed the style of their scrims and playing, and it really turned them around. So that's really interesting. I really wanted to hear you say like you want like to be in Las Vegas and have like Paris Hilton be your I was really hoping for something crazy, but we'll take what we can get. And last real question we have is has there been any talks? Have you had any talks with the Overwatch League teams or anything to do with the league? Do you have plans to play in the league if you get a chance?
I did get contacted by some Overwatch League teams, and I did some tryouts in Europe. But most of like other flex DPS in Europe are basically monster. Everyone is a monster. So I don't think I did that well, but we'll see. I hope like I got the potential for me, like new character learning, etc. So maybe people will see like if I think I'm really coachable as a player. So that goes for me, and maybe a lot of players are better than me actually, but maybe in 1-2 months I will be better than them, and that's why I want to show, and that's why I work to show on contenders.
I wouldn't bet against you being better than all the rest of the DPS in Europe after watching how much you guys as a team and you specifically have leveled up in the last couple of months. It's been really nothing short of impressive. And I know at bare minimum, you have myself and the Blevins rooting for you guys against every single opponent possible, including Misfits. I know the Blevins will root against Misfits.
Nope. Especially
we'll
now
definitely
that we have Logix that's been on the show.
That's true. Yeah, I was going to say we automatically take the side of anybody who's been on the show in any fight that comes up, but we have had Logix, so we'll be a little torn there. But we'll hope for a good match there. Yeah, we won't take any sides there. At least I won't. Blevins definitely will. And we'll just keep rooting for you guys throughout the duration. Best of luck to you. And again, from my end, Blevins will close us out here. But from my end, I just want to thank you for coming on and sharing that insight and a very unique perspective on really everything from coaching down the line to learning new heroes. So I appreciate your time today.
Thank you for the invitation. It was really interesting.
Yeah. So last thing, we'll before I close out the show, Leaf, I wanted to give you the platform. Is there any shout outs or anything that you wanted to talk about? Where can people find you? All that good stuff.
Well, but you can find any news about Gamers Origin on Twitter. Like every player is like GO underscore on the name, like Leaf, Hip, Pipo, etc. And you can like retweeting in French and in English, just ignore the French stuff. It's mostly for the French scene, but you can watch us. We do have Twitch. Most of us are streaming in French, sadly, but gameplay is universal. So if you want to say it, or if you have any question, don't hesitate. We're mostly open-minded, and like we all can talk English, I believe. Maybe not Hip, but who knows?
Shots fired. But again, Leaf, huge shout outs to you specifically in your Doomfist play and to Gamers Origins. We wish you the best of luck. Thank you again for being on here. And two things I've got to say. A, you are now, for better or for worse, you are forever a friend of High Noon Podcast. If you ever need anything from us, we're always willing to help. And I've got to mention that you did, in fact, survive the High Noon hot seat, and we appreciate your time again. So, Leaf, again, thank you, and that's going to be it for the show, guys. I still don't know how we're going to end these, so it's just going to be awkward until I figure it out. So, everybody say bye.
Bye.
Bye.